Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sharing and Learning. Okay, let me make sure video is set up right. All right, so today is Friday, 13 December 13, 2023. Let me still make sure the video is set up right. What's up, John? Okay, today we're gonna talk about a topic that is very less talked about. Oh, let me still make sure my video. Okay, today is December 13, 2024. This topic, again, another short episode of sharing and learning. Maybe a small topic, maybe a big topic. I'm just gonna go right ahead. Thank you again for joining. This topic is not a very happy subject. Probably one of the reasons why it's maybe less talked about, but very important, and also does affects a lot of us. This topic that I'm going to be talking about is final life insurance, or final expense insurance. So again, the reason why, basically what it's about is when something happens to you, to me, or like a family member, when somebody loses their life or passes away. That's basically what it's for, final life insurance. Like say, if for me, for example, not to scare you family members out there, say if Melvin loses his life, or it's gonna be my final day today, a few things automatically comes up, and that'll be the expenses, the funeral expenses. So basically this whole video is going to be about it's going to be all about how to cover the expenses. Now again, there's going to be one unique scenario or like caveat that, or reason why it's going to be very unique to us COFA citizens. Say I'm from Koshai, or FSM, or Palau, or the Marshall Islands, and I'll talk about that maybe in the middle of the video, or very shortly. So again, main topic today is final expense insurance. And so basically what's final expense insurance? What it is basically insurance to cover the medical costs. Now again, it's less talked about because it's not a very popular topic, but at the same time it does matters to all of us. Now, so let's talk more about it. So say maybe you or maybe a family member like sadly passes away. There's going to be expenses that will show up, or will have to be paid for. Now, the two ultimate question that always comes up, that does relates to all of us if we're from the COFA nations, is number one is are we going to bury the loved one here in the U.S., or are we going to send them back home to the homeland, like in Goshai, FSM, Point Bay, Chuuk, or Marshall Islands, or Palau? I think that's one question that's very less asked about in the insurance community, but it is also very important to us. So let's go ahead and talk about, first, again, just like the two different scenarios, mainly the expenses. Like, for example, the first scenario, say if the funeral is going to be here in the US, I'm going to go to like break down the expenses. All right, so say if maybe me again, or maybe a loved one suddenly passes away, there's going to be expenses there. There's mainly three main expenses that's always going to come up. All right, hopefully you can see it. So, all right, so here in the US funeral. The first thing, oops, you're not seeing it. So for US funeral, all right, the first thing, sorry for the handwriting here, US funeral, the first thing that will actually show up is the funeral plot or funeral location plot. That generally costs around $3,000 to $5,000. I'm going to give an average there. So it's around $3,000 to $5,000. So I'm going to try my best to give an average of $4,000. And then there's going to be the cascade, which is going to be, is usually, according to my research, should be around $2,000 to $5,000. So I'm going to give my best average, which should be $3,000. Now, also, say again, this is doing your funeral here in the U.S. Funeral plot against $4,000. Casket is around 2,000 to 5,000, so I put in like an average 3,000, and then that's pretty much the main cost, two main costs. I'm going to put in something where I say a buffer there for 1,000 or 1K, and that the reason I put it there is like because the final, again, the main important thing we're still talking about is final expense insurance. It doesn't always has to be mainly funeral costs. Oops. So I would say buffer costs for like food and maybe water or other expenses for the funeral if you're doing it here in the US. And then that should be it. Now, according to my calculation, I'm not wrong, it's 4,000, 7,000, 8,000. That's a total of 8,000 here in the US. Now, interesting topic here, say if we choose the other option, which again, all of us will eventually ask, do we want to maybe do the funeral or bring it to the homeland, like say in Marshall Islands or for me, Goshai. There's going to be one unique subject that's always going to be there, which is transporting the body to the homeland. Cost there, according to my research, is around 10,000 to 20,000. So I'm gonna put, let's see here. Body average of 15K. So 15K, and then assuming you're still gonna keep the cascade, which is 3K. Oh, I have to highlight transport. To home. So A and B. Doing funeral here in the US, and then B, doing funeral back home. Obviously, this is a big expense here. Transporting the body is $15,000. The cascade, assuming you're still gonna buy it here in the US, is $3,000. And then I always, common sense, I would put a buffer. Again, I call it a buffer or insurance money or extra money for 1,000. So total still here is 8,000. Now, say to do it back home, it's going to be, I'm going to total this numbers, 15,000, 3,000, and then 1,000. 15. Let's say that's, I come up with 19,000. Again, main topic here is final expense insurance. Okay, so I'm gonna go backwards again to kind of talk about maybe the value or why I'm actually talking about this, because I think it definitely, we all experience that moment where maybe we heard about a family member where they're having issues in maybe covering the costs or trying to bring their funeral back home. And that's the reason why we're talking about it. Again, it's main topic here is final expense insurance, and going back, we're still talking about the costs for the funeral. So again, doing it in the US is around 8,000, and trying to bring it back to home is around 19,000. That's a lot. That's pretty expensive there. Now again, I think it's very rare that we talk about this because it's not a very happy subject, but we're still talking about it right now. All right, so right now, let's just kind of think about the difference here. Here in the US, but over here, trying to bring it back home, it's 19,000. For me, if it was me to decide, if that was me, I want to go back home. I want to be remembered or be buried back home in my homeland of Kyogat Devanjak Koshai. So I would go for this initially, if I can afford it. So that's the value, or that's maybe the need or reason why I think it's kind of important to talk about it right now. So basically, this is kind of the cost. Second part of this video, we're gonna talk about the benefit of final expense insurance, or what it is. What it basically is insurance for your funeral, either for you or for a family member. Now, the cost to keep that insurance, cost to keep it, it's around, the cost to keep it is around $40 to $70 a month. That's the premium. So I'll pull out an average, which is $60 a month. And the insurance payout of final expense insurance or policy, final expense insurance, is on average is around 10,000 to 20,000. So let's be safe, assuming you got a 17K policy or 70,000 policy. So paying, that means in this type of insurance, meaning if you get one for you or a family member, you pay $60 a month to have a policy of around 17,000. The more the better, but let's just say 17,000. And so basically, what does this benefit do is, worst case scenario, say if that does happen, you use this benefit to cover this or this. So that's pretty much it. Now, it is important to note that with this option, always put into consideration that you or maybe some key part or key members of the family will want to maybe go on the flight or on the Cascade to home. It doesn't cover airfare. It will not cover airfare. Just want to keep that in mind. I mean, this is already more than what the average policy will actually cover. So you may be short of around 2,000 there. So just kind of something to keep in mind. All right. Maybe the next question here is where do you find insurance? Where do you find this type of insurance? Is the answer to that is you can actually find it through your surprisingly, you can actually find it through your car insurance. State Farm does have it, and also mainly your health insurance provider, and also AAA actually does have it too. Full disclosure here, I am not selling you. I do not represent any entity or company to sell insurance. Just want to bring that out. Okay, that's pretty much it. The need for it, and then also the expenses, and also the benefit there. That's pretty much the end of our video here. A real quick note to final expense insurance versus life insurance is two main things. For final expense insurance, number one, there is no medical examinations, and also number two, the payout for that type of insurance is much quicker than health insurance. So basically for final expense insurance is actually around 14 to 19 days. Just to kind of keep in mind, versus life insurance, which is going to be a whole different topic, is actually around at least 30 or 90 days. So that's pretty much it. That does conclude our video here. Maybe some questions to you is, do you think this topic is important to you? Or do you have any personal experience to this type of insurance? Or do you have any questions, or is it still confusing to you? Any questions you have, or any experience you have with this value or this subject here, put it in the comments. I would like to hear it. And thank you again for watching, and see you next time.